Hello and a very warm welcome to Game On. I'm Meha Bharadwaj Alter and it's the big final of the Asia Cup. Yes, who will be the Asian champions? Will it be hosts Sri Lanka, who have made full use of the conditions at home, or will it be India, who've not won a multi-nation tournament since 2018 Asia Cup? It's time to see who will be the champions of Asia. The weather, as we've seen throughout the tournament, will once again be in focus with rain predicted in the evening. But there is a reserve day for this final, so there is hopefully every possibility that we get a result. Jamie Alter and Chetan Nirula are here with us to set this up for all of you. Hello, gentlemen, all set for the big final. It's not India versus Pakistan, but these two were the best teams to make it to the finals. Chetan?
Absolutely, Meha. Hello once again.
Hi.
Yes, there's no doubt.
Yes.
There's no doubt that these two teams were the best. I mean, the way, we spoke about how India needed to up the ante, up their intensity. And they did that from, the first phase to the Super Fours. It was a completely different Indian side. Never mind the Bangladesh game. Sri Lanka, for me, have been a surprise package. And, we spoke about it on the show, on the last show, how they reminded me of the 96 Sri Lankan side, where just before the World Cup, a lot of their moving parts came together, whether it's spin bowling, whether it's batting. They were not very celebrated players, but they just came together. And this is the same, replication of what happened in 95, 96 for Sri Lanka. So India on the upswing, if we can say so. Sri Lanka, the surprise package, and, kind of tripped Pakistan. So there's no doubt, yes, India and Sri Lanka deserve to be in this final.
Coming into the tournament, Jamie, who would have thought, though, that this was going to be Sri Lanka in the final? Yes, you said that, okay, maybe India are going to be able to make it to the final just because of the class that that team has. But Pakistan, I mean, what happened there? This is the kind of derailment, really, that we saw from this team. Yes, injuries didn't help matters, but then you've also got to see that Sri Lanka came into this tournament with their 4 top bowlers injured. So, and now the news that's coming in, Naseem Shah, all but out of the World Cup. How big a blow is this going to be for Pakistan? And now are we seeing Pakistan as this outright favorite team come the World Cup?
Look, one loss to India, by a record margin in Pakistan's campaign. Okay, कहते हैं ना हिंदी में धागे खोल दिए. But look, before we come to Pakistan, let's also acknowledge the role that Afghanistan have played in Sri Lanka being in the final, right? It was a complete brain fade from Afghanistan that means Sri Lanka's even in the tournament. Had they not been such daft people sitting there, and I know we talked a lot about what it was. Chetan highlighted our viewers about how the host broadcasters employ the stats. But again, someone in the Afghanistan team needs to be sacked for not informing Rashid Khan. They had that match in the bag. So Sri Lanka owe them a big round whenever they meet next time. That's it. Coming back to the more serious issue. Look, Pakistan, I mean, we had them as tournament favorites. Let's accept it. These videos are all recorded. They're live. But the way in front of all three of us, this team has gone, and of course Naseem Shah is a loss. Of course, Haris Rauf not playing again is a loss. But just look at how the infighting, the stories we're hearing, and now that team, which initially 5 months ago on a show I had finishing number 6 in the World Cup, I had to bump them up to number 4 a month ago by process of elimination. Now you look at how New Zealand have come back, how South Africa are showing glimpses. To my mind, Pakistan are no more. They're back to number 6 in my books. Just not even just about the injuries, Meha. It's just about how disheveled they look. Babar Azam got 151 against Nepal and then didn't get 60 runs combined in the next 4 matches. So I have written them off from the World Cup. And now whenever we get back into doing World Cup shows, I'll be very, very keen to see 3 of us who we have as our top 4.
I think I think everybody who's watched these shows know this. And I think all of us, everybody was expecting Pakistan really to be, to do well, not just in this Asia Cup, but as the World Cup as well. Injuries didn't help. But I just the way things have gone for Pakistan, it's really surprising how quickly things have changed for them. But just coming back to India and Sri Lanka, what are you expecting today? Because rain is going to be around, guys. Let's first talk about the pitch. It is going to be a slow pitch, as we've seen at the Premadasa. And then comes the big question of whether India are going to play an extra spinner, and will it be Washington Sundar? I mean, it will be Washington Sundar because Akshar Patel is injured. Do you see them playing Washington Sundar today, or will it be Shardul Thakur who India would likely go with? Chetan?
Well, yeah, like you said, Meha, we are expecting a slow pitch. And if it is a slow pitch, indeed, then you have to play that extra spinner. You can't be caught out with just 2 spinners in the side with 4 paces on a pitch that is really turning, because you're probably not even going to play Tilak Verma today. So there is no option but to draft in Washington Sundar. And to my mind, Washington Sundar's inclusion, I'm never happy about any player's injury. But to my mind, Washington Sundar's inclusion actually balances out the Indian bowling lineup. And, this is a forced change that I would like to see made for the World Cup as well. Ravindra Jadeja and Akshar Patel, 2 left-arm spinners of the same caliber, the same variety, in the same playing 11. It does not make any sense at all. And then you also have left-arm unorthodox wrist spinner Kuldeep Yadav. So you have all 3 spinners of the same, left-arm angle. It didn't make sense to me. Post change, yes. Washington Sundar has to play. Is he fit enough to play? Is he mentally there? Those are different questions. The team management has to take them into account. But on a slow pitch today, India needs an extra spin option. You can't go in with 4 paces and 2 spinners.
Okay, so let's set this game up for everybody. Not the final. The host broadcasters were wanted, but the Asia Cup has got the 2 finalists it deserved. Co-hosts and defending champions Sri Lanka, who've played competitive but scrappy cricket to reach there. But their fans won't be complaining. They've been brilliant. They've not had their 4 frontline bowlers, and they have some out-of-form batters. But they are now up against number 2 ranked India, who've put together some impressive wins to get here, at the top of which was that record 228-run win over Pakistan. India's batters have found form. Jasprit Bumrah has come back strongly. Kuldeep Yadav has been terrific. And the team is now standing at the summit with their eyes on the Asia Cup, with it now being 5 years since Team India won a trophy, which also happened to be the same prize back in 2018 and also under Rohit. Will India play Washington Sundar if the Colombo track aids spin? Will Shreyas Iyer return? Is he fit? We still don't know. Will Shubman Gill extend his purple patch, or will the spirited Sri Lankan side rise to the occasion and overcome this team? It's a huge moment. I think we've got to take a while, Jamie, to just look at what this means for Sri Lanka as well. The fact that they are in the finals, they've had to qualify for the World Cup. They played the qualifiers. They were very impressive in the qualifiers, but those were against some weak opponents. Here in this Asia Cup, what they've shown is they've shown the willpower to win, to just really scrap through, right? And on top of that, the fact that some of the younger players have put their hand up, right? Vela Lage, how good was he in the match against India as well? I mean, all 10 wickets went to spinners. Charita Asalanka got wickets in that match as well, right? And that probably is going to be their game plan in this final as well, right? Just spin and play more spin, keep getting your spinners against Indian batters.
Exactly, and that's why not having Mahesh Theekshana, who is the joint highest wicket taker in ODI this year when it comes to spinners with Kuldeep Yadav, not having him is going to be massive, because look, I rarely have I seen him like run through teams. But look at what he offers you. He can bowl the first over, he can bowl the second over, he can come in at the end of the power play, he can come in the middle, and he bowls at the death more so in T20s. So he's a massive asset to have, especially when you consider that Wanindu Hasaranga is not around. So not having him, he's not got the volume of wickets that I think we all would have expected him to take. But not having him is a massive blow. That means that Dhananjaya De Silva will bowl a full 10 overs, today.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how Sri Lanka are going to plug that gap, because you already, if you look at Vela Lage, it can be argued was only playing because Wanindu Hasaranga was not around, right? So whoever comes in for Mahesh Theekshana, he just does not have the required experience, that too in a final, Vela Lage came into this Asia Cup very, very raw, but he's gained in every match. We've seen that he can bat, and what a promising all-rounder he could be. So, yes, I think Sri Lanka have an advantage because of the pitch, but not having Theekshana, I hope that India, and I don't know who's going to take his place, I hope India see a potential weak area there and really despite their own weaknesses against spin, I hope they look to hammer that advantage, because in these knockout finals, right, when a bowler is playing his first match of the tournament, there could be again, easier said than done. But I hope, especially if the start is good and they don't unwind the way they did against Sri Lanka from 80 for 0, that India's batsmen, and these are very, very good batsmen we're talking about, I hope they pounce on what to me looks like a very obvious weak point for Sri Lanka.
Winning becomes a habit though, Chetan. I mean, if you keep winning, you start believing that you can beat the best in the world. And that's exactly what Sri Lanka have been doing. And I feel like this could be the start of something special for this team. Like you said, this team reminded you of 96. If they win today, this is going to be huge for them, because this is happening at home. Just what the country itself has gone through, how the players have helped this people in need, right? During the financial crisis, the team itself came forward and helped. So I feel like they're warming up to this team. They think like they're a good side, and like I said, this could be the start of something special for Sri Lankan cricket.
It already is. It already is in my mind, because they have been on a bit of a winning run. Yes, it has come against lesser opposition, but as you said, this Asia Cup, it sets them up probably for the future. Probably Sri Lankan cricket's future doesn't lie in Test cricket, and we know, there are so many questions about the viability of Test cricket going forward. But at least in white ball cricket, Dasun Shanaka and his troops have raised a lot of Lankan hopes. I mean, you look at the last Asia Cup, Sri Lanka won it.
Yeah.
They did well in the T20 World Cup as well. And obviously now with the ODI World Cup coming, winning the Asia Cup now probably doesn't make them favorites for the World Cup. No chance that happens, because there are better teams out there. But in these conditions, they will be a handful. If we find slow conditions in India during those 2 months of the World Cup, Sri Lanka will be handful. They will trip up some teams with these tactics of spin and their batsmen coming to the party. So it is a massive moment for Sri Lanka, but I think we should not say that it will help them achieve something perhaps during the World Cup. Yes, surprises happen. Yes, I see a similarity with 1996, but that was an exceptional team. That team under Arjuna Ranatunga just stalked the entire competition. I don't see a repeat of that, but probably tripping up some teams occasionally. But yeah, this is a massive, massive boost for Sri Lankan cricket. There is no doubt in my mind about that, given what their society has been reeling under, given how their cricket has been shaping up. And if I just might add, we were talking about who comes in for Tikshana. Is a 27-year-old off spinner. And to my mind, if the pitch is spinning similarly like it did in the previous 2-3 games, it doesn't matter, if the incoming bowler has played a lot of cricket or, he has that experience or not. If the ball is turning and if you're a decent enough spinner, somebody like Aslanka got 4 wickets. So, he doesn't bowl too much. So it's just a matter of the batsman handling that pressure, handling that turn and absorbing that turn. Excessive turn will always help even a very, very ordinary spinner. So I think India will have their Indian batsmen who have a tendency of struggling against spin will have their task cut out.
Yes, but the good news is that Indian top order is in form. They've been getting runs, and that augurs well as we build up to the World Cup as well, India's larger goal. But Jamie, toss is going to be crucial, because at the Premadasa, in the 6 matches that have been played, 5 have been won by teams batting first. And we saw clearly in the second innings, batters struggling really. The pitch gets slower. So how big an advantage would that be? And India, if they win the toss, they'll look to bat first?
Absolutely. Look, there's rain around, but if reports are to believe, it looks a lot like the track played against India, Sri Lanka's last previous match. We saw what happened there. All 10 wickets, 4 fell to a bowler who hadn't bowled for 10 months. You have to bat first, back yourselves. It's alarming how they went from 80 for no loss to 99 for like 4. I mean, whatever it was. It was a horrible batting performance. Akshar Patel, who's not there, actually has been bowling very poorly. But in back-to-back matches, his batting has really stood up. You look at him. I think they needed 7 runs or 9 runs when he got out against Bangladesh. So not having him in the lower order is going to be a problem, because frankly, Shardul Thakur is bowling very well, but he's not doing a thing with the bat. So all that put together, India would hate to chase, especially under lights. The ball is doing things, Sri Lanka, they're just going to come at you with spin. And if Sri Lanka can get 4 wickets for nothing, I still think if the pitch plays the way it is, it's definitely, to my mind, advantage Sri Lanka in this match.
Okay, now pitch report by Sanjay Manjakar and Dominic Cook. They're saying that it's a fresh pitch for the final. Colombo pitches have generally been useful for the spinners. We're right next to the pitch used for the earlier India-Sri Lanka game. It's a dry surface. I mean, there's just so much you can see in terms of, how different the pitches will play there. But both suggesting that it's better to be batting first and then hope for some turn at night. But interestingly, I want to ask you this. I know, Chetan, you said that definitely Washington Sundar should be played. But do you think that he'd be in the right frame of mind, given that he's just gone there? Or India should stick with someone like a Shardul Thakur? Because in that last game as well, that India played against Sri Lanka, it's your faster bowlers who got you the wickets earlier on, right? Is that something they should look to do? Just stick with Shardul Thakur, who has given them breakthroughs, who has been good with the ball?
Well, fortunately, I don't get paid enough to make these decisions, so I don't know which is the right one and which is
none of us do.
But like I said, like I said, you don't want to be caught on the wrong side, needing an extra spinner and not having him. So you don't really pick your team for just the first innings or the second innings. You have to look at the overall picture and pick your side. I would definitely pick Washington Sundar. Is he in the right frame of mind or not?
Okay, the team's also okay. I'm going to cut you here, because the team's also chosen. The team management has also chosen Washington Sundar over Shardul Thakur. So I've got the team. I've forwarded it to my producer. It is Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli. So those 5 changes that India made in the last game against Bangladesh, those guys have come back. There is Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli, KL Rahul, Ishan Kishan, Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja, Washington Sundar. That's what we were wondering. Instead of Akshar Patel, who would come back? Will it be Shardul or will it be Washington Sundar, who was flown in after Akshar Patel had injured his left quadriceps? So Washington Sundar is in, along with Jasprit Bumrah, Kuldeep Yadav, Mohammad Siraj. That's your playing 11. Along expected lines, this was the main bone of contention. So yes, continue, Chetan. So they've got Washington Sundar. And also Sri Lanka won the toss and have opted to bat first. How big a problem will that be for India? Go ahead.
Well, yes, obviously playing Washington Sundar makes sense because you want to cover all your bases. Shardul Thakur hasn't really contributed with the bat as much. You would rely on, yes, the Pacers did their job in the last game against Sri Lanka. So you rely on Bumrah, Siraj and Hardik Pandya to do the job in these particular circumstances. The batting first thing from Sri Lanka, I think that's a major boost for them. I think, with their spinners, the pitch slowing down, if they have, 275 on the board, India could just struggle because you never know. I mean, chasing isn't really India's forte at the moment. And the one name, and I've had this conversation with James as well, the one name that India will miss today, if the ball is turning and Indian batting struggles, is Shreyas Iyer. Because in the middle overs, if somebody can handle spinners, can go on the attack, can hit them out of their rhythm, that is Shreyas Iyer. Hardik Pandya also does that very well. So unless and until they promote Hardik Pandya, that could be a potential move for India, but I don't see how it particularly happens or not. So India will miss Shreyas Iyer. There is no doubt about that.
Which is it's a curious case really of Shreyas Iyer. What seems to be happening with him? This has happened a second time, right? This happened in Border Gavaskar Trophy as well. He comes in, he's all fit, he's done his rehab, NCA declares him fit, he comes in and on the day of the match or on the eve of the match, he either develops some kind of a pull and then it's the same problem. And I don't know. Obviously, since he's sat out throughout this Asia Cup, it's not a simple, just a regular pull. I'm guessing, Jamie. There is something more because it's taking time to heal. And I'm wondering at what point will this team say that we cannot have him if he's not 100% fit. That's the other question. But let me come to you on that. First, let's put the playing 11 for the Indian team. So Sri Lanka won the toss in Colombo at the Premadasa Stadium. They have opted to bat first. India on the back foot really because of the advantage batting first, team batting first gets. But that's the playing 11 for the Indian team. Washington Sundar, who was flown in from the NCA, he is in the playing 11. Shardul Thakur is out. So Akshar Patel, in place of Akshar Patel, Washington Sundar is in. And all the changes that India made in the last game, they've the first choice players are all back. So there's Virat Kohli, there's Shubman Gill, KL Rahul, Ishan Kishan, Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja, and bowlers in Kuldeep Yadav, Mohammad Siraj, Jasprit Bumrah. So yes, Jamie, just coming back to this, Shreyas Iyer and what seems to be going wrong with him, and how long should India wait for Shreyas Iyer to recover before they actually get someone like a Tilak Verma in? So I'm wondering at what point will they take that decision?
Anyone's guess? We discussed this on the previous show that we are the last people, we, the general public, are going to be the last people that the BCCI informs. In fact, Chetan pleaded on air last time, please, can you just, whatever call you've taken, just let people know so that this mystery and the doubt is removed. It's not going to happen, but these one-liners that we all get on WhatsApp, he's recovering well, but not enough to play the match. That says nothing. I think the fact that Tilak Verma played the last match was India's acceptance that, look, things are not looking grim. And we knew if he's not playing on Friday, there's no chance that he's playing on Sunday. This now leaves you with literally those 3 ODIs starting, 5 days from now against Australia. Let's just hope that it doesn't come to that, Meha, because they will know, like, we're not the experts here, but the medical experts, I have full faith, would understand how serious it is, and they would have a time frame. I don't expect us to find out what that time frame is. If they know those 3 matches from the 22nd to the 27th, the 28th, and the 28th is the cutoff for the World Cup squad, if it's not happening, I just hope they don't wait, Meha, until the 28th. Because again, I wish Iyer the best. We all on this show and our viewers will know the role and the importance he brings, the spin game we've talked about, the stats, the match-winning qualities he has displayed, the abilities, at least in Asian conditions, to overcome the short ball problem. It just puts him up as India's best number 4. If your best number 4 is in a race for time, do not wait until those 3 ODIs to take the call, because someone's going to have to step up, right? Is it Tilak Verma? Maybe. Because frankly, I think we've all moved on from Sanju Samson. Suryakumar Yadav, even if he does get bumped up, like Chetan's been saying for weeks and months, he's not going to bat 4. He might bat 5 on certain days. Just what Shreyas Iyer's absence stands to do to this team, let's hope that call is taken sooner than later, because that's going to be a disaster, which perhaps we've seen coming.
Okay. Let's also put the Sri Lankan playing 11, because there's one change there as well. If India had Akshar Patel injury, they were dealing with Mahesh Theekshana's injury. So in his place is Dushan Himanta, who has come in. But how good is this team in terms of some of the youngsters who are doing well for them, right? Matisha Patirana and Dhunit Velalage, both are your top wicket takers in this Asia Cup. Both, 20-year-olds. And they are the highest wicket takers. Matisha Patirana is the top wicket taker. Dhunit Velalage is number 2. He troubled India in the last game along with Charit Asalanka. They both shared some 9 wickets between the 2 of them. And it's not going to be any different today as well. But what India can do and will look to do if they are bowling first is get quick wickets. Because that is absolutely vital for India. They need to make sure they don't let them run away with a big total. And power plays, that, Chetan, is now most important, because we already know that batting first, you will get that advantage. You'd want to get to a good total. How important would that be? Jasprit Bumrah getting quick wickets front up.
Oh, absolutely vital for India to get those early wickets. I don't think Sri Lanka will go hammer and tongs in the power play because their batting is not exceptionally deep, and it's their top order which has been in form and getting them those big runs, making those big chases, etc., etc. So, for me, it's about them batting long, batting deep into their innings. Um, the pressure is on India if Sri Lanka gets to 250, 275, 280.
Yeah.
But to get there, their top order, Sri Lanka's top order, needs to score runs. The pressure is not on the Sri Lankan spinners as much. It is on the Sri Lankan top order to replicate their form throughout the Asia Cup and get those runs on the board. Mark my words, if India is chasing just 200 runs, if India gets the top order, restricts Sri Lanka to 200, game over. If Sri Lanka spinners are not going to beat India or stop India from chasing 200 runs. India's batting is deep. It's good enough to score 200 runs or even on a turning track. But it's very vital for Sri Lanka's top order to get those extra 80 runs on the board. And that's where the game is. India's pacers, like you mentioned, Bumrah, Hardik, Siraj, they need to make those inroads in the first 10 overs, get the top order, and prevent Sri Lanka from crossing 250.
But that's exactly what they did last time around as well, right, Jamie? It's their top order. India got the top order, but then you had Dhananjay De Silva as well as Vela Lage, who built a partnership and, you know, got Sri Lanka pretty close. You knew that they needed one wicket. India needed one wicket really to sort of come back into the game. But that moment when they were building that partnership, it looked like the game could go either way. So it is not going to be easy for the Indian bowlers as well, right?
Look, and that's where Jasprit Bumrah becomes massive. Right? He's not been required to even bowl out his full quota because of how well the spinners and the back end and Shardul Thakur, to be fair, have done, right? But just coming to Sri Lanka, right? Of their top 7, there's actually only 3 that are working. Pathum Nissanka and especially Dimut Karunaratne, they've not done a thing. Early wickets have fallen. It's been Kusal Mendes at 3, Sadira Samaravikrama at 4, and then Asalanka at 5. Because at number 6, barring that 141 and lost scotch, Dhananjay has not done anything. So if Jasprit Bumrah can get early wickets, which I fully expect him to do because he just looked that brilliant up front, get Mendes, just like we were saying, get Babar and see what happens. Get Kusal Mendes, and then that 200 that Chetan is talking about, it becomes a much clearer reality because Kusal Mendes is their like leading run getter. I think he's a few runs behind Shubman Gill. Get him and then see how the middle order fares. Because I think an early wicket is inevitable given how poor. I know Kusal Janat Pereira came in the last match. I mean, he's someone we've been watching since what? 2014. I'm surprised he hasn't gone on to do greater things. I think he's just so inconsistent. Yeah. He's a tricky one because I don't, in theory and in pedigree, like Chetan mentioned, the person to bat out time, if he was in form, would have been Dimut Karunaratne. But he is so bad, they dropped him for the last match. Kusal Pereira is one of those Jayasuriya type players. He might give you 60 in the first 6 overs, or he might get out in the first or second over. So it's very imperative. If India strike that early wicket, they need to get Kusal Mendes because just like against Pakistan, it was his 91 that proved valuable. So it's a slightly thin batting lineup. Yeah. But that 200 that Chetan mentioned, to me, you get Kusal Mendes and you shave off 50, 60 runs right there. So that's a big wicket for me.
Yeah, Kushal Mendes is also in the top 2 run scorers. So there's, I think, Shubman Gill and then Kushal Mendes in this Asia Cup. Okay, so at the toss, what did Rohit Sharma say? This is what he said at the toss. He said, would have batted first 2. Looks like a dry pitch. We're confident of chasing down whatever Sri Lanka puts on board. It's a good chance to go aggressive with the ball and see what the surface has to offer. And then he says, we came really close in the last game. Anything about 240 on this surface is good. Exactly what we've been talking about as well. Our job today is to do well with the ball and then see what we can do with that bat. The crowds have been brilliant. Good support for both the teams. Everybody's back after the rest in the last game. And then he says, Washington Sundar comes in. Jamie, also the importance of Washington Sundar for this game. I mean, he just gets one opportunity. But we know that anybody who's right now playing is obviously, could be in line for the World Cup, right? If there are any injuries, because India can still decide till the 28th of September. So if Akshar Patel is not fit by then, there is every chance that Washington Sundar might be in the team. How important will this match be, and what are you expecting from him?
Look, you come to someone like Washington Sundar, I have a lot of time for him because despite being so young, he's been an international cricketer for the better part of 4 or 5 years now, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even more.
Yeah.
But he's one of those players, he falls in the Shreyas Iyer category, he falls in the Deepak Chahar category, and then every 5 matches, he has a knack of breaking down. That said, he ticked every box to be here. We saw him, he came back in the Ireland series, he's in the Asian Games squad. The fact that he was fast-tracked into here, it is perhaps a very, very small window that he forces himself in. Of course, you don't want, like Chetan said, you don't want Akshar Patel, missing out because of what he brings. But he is going to give you the same kind of skill at a lesser level than Ravindra Jadeja. So you need an off spinner. We've talked about it. Let's say, I think as a bowler, Akshar Patel did not grab his chances in the Asia Cup in those 2 matches. Scored a good innings, 27-28, got a good 41-42 the other day. But it's in his prime skill, the bowling, which frankly on tracks aided to his kind of bowling. He was very flat. Just imagine, Meha, if Washington Sundar gets 3 wickets today, Akshar Patel might be fit in 5 days, 6 days. But if an off spinner, everyone and their uncle seem to be saying, why doesn't India have an off spinner? Imagine Washington Sundar gets 3 wickets today. It might be a very, very tough call and an unfair one to say, Akshar, you know what? We see more value. Because as per Rohit Sharma, they spent a lot of time deliberating on what Washington Sundar would offer. In the end, in his words, he didn't have enough playing time. Just imagine if he has a match-winning role to play, Meha, in a final. I would not be surprised if he comes right in and Akshar Patel is told, you know what? Tough luck, but sorry.
That'll be heartbreaking for Akshar Patel. He has done whatever he can, at least with the bat, not so much with the ball in this Asia Cup. But Jamie, quickly your predictions for today's game before we wrap this up.
I granted Sri Lanka because of the toss, but I still think if India bowl, the batsmen will have enough runs. So I think India's 5-year wait for a trophy is ending today. If it rains, then tomorrow.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up with my predictions. If India is able to restrict Sri Lanka to under 240, I think it's India's game. But if it goes beyond that, then I don't know, because Sri Lankan spinners have been very good, have been effective in these conditions. Thank you so much, Jamie Orter, Chetan Narula, for joining us here on the show. That's it from us. It's the big final, India versus Sri Lanka, who will be crowned the champions of Asia. Well, News 9 Live is what you need to subscribe to for all the latest from the world of sports. For now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.
मैं इमरान अहमद खान नियाजी सबके दिल से हल्फ उठाता हूँ.
When Imran Khan came initially into politics, he thought his personal popularity